So these are some useful drills to just sort of break out of your established pattern and hopefully find new things that you can then drill and refine and work on getting into live play. So a couple of them that we're going to look at, Jiu-Jitsu chess, and then a variation of that done with a metronome where you're moving simultaneously, and then tennis ball hands, which is super fun.
Fantastic.
Okay, so Jiu-Jitsu chess is pretty straightforward, and it's really, really useful, I think at all levels, but definitely very useful if you're new, because it gives you the time, just a moment, to think about what you do, and then do it. So instead of like feeling like you have to scramble through a bunch of stuff where you're not really sure what you're doing or why, you're just trying to get on top, you can start to be a little bit more technical about it. Let's look at it from guard. So if Dan's in my guard, the way we usually work it is he gets one major body movement, so not even necessarily a complete technique. So he gets one big move, and so he'll do a big move, and I'm not resisting it. But then I get a big move, so he pauses there, I take my counter move. Now it's his turn. Oh, that's bad for me. Now it's my turn. And then he goes, I go, and so on. And so we're just breaking the flow down into a series of steps. It ends up being just sort of like an infinite game where you're really unlikely to actually land technique, but it's more about building in all of the stuff in between, right? And starting to recognize where we can get leverage. So that's the first level with it, where we really are completely compliant. Then the second level with it would be where we're not going to resist with muscle, but we are going to apply our pressure, right? So this gets me to have to like figure out where I'm going to get my leverage when I'm underneath weight, right? So if Dan is hitting me now here, rather than just move with me like he's a balloon when I'm trying to move, he's going to leave his weight on me and make me have to work to get out. So I really have to find my leverage, and I get to see like how far I actually get with that pressure. And now it's his turn. He gets to counter. His turn. And so on. And so we'll work it both ways. I think both are really, really useful. The really light play is useful for just being able to truly feel like you're exploring like what's happening between each of these moves. And then the second level of that is sort of the first degree of pressure testing these new pathways that we're figuring out. Okay, does it actually work when he's still holding on to me? And then you take that back into rolling. And not all of it translates. You'll definitely like find some things that while you're playing that don't work when somebody's putting pressure on. But that's fine. The point is just to branch out of our normal pattern. And then I don't have my metronome with me, but we can demo it a little bit. The idea of metronome training is that now we're actually both going to do, like we're going to use our strength, we're going to use our pressure, we're going to do our moves to try to complete them, but we get about a half a second of movement every beat, right? So if Coach Dan and I are going like, I'm going to do metronome, I'm going to edit this part out. So we're just going to go for like a 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we go, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's enough of a beat there where again I feel like I have time to recognize what's happening and have a hopefully useful response to it instead of just scrambling through. And then again, it just gives me another way to fill in those gaps between my moves. Okay, one more game to introduce. Okay, so tennis ball hands. It's actually one of my favorite games that my coach taught me because he always told me, probably still thinks it, you're using too much muscle over and over. And so to get me to not rely so heavily on my grips, he had me hold tennis balls in my hands and then still roll.
It has not worked.
Love a grip. So now we're just rolling. We're doing everything, but we don't get to rely on our hands, right? So as we go,
It's terrible.
and again, it gets us to realize like the goal of it is to learn how to use our body more efficiently and rely less on the strength of our arms. So that when we give ourselves our hands back, we're able to use them more effectively for the things that are really going to make more of a difference for us. In theory. Most it's really a lot of fun.
I can't wait for you to make Matt do this.
All right, those are the games.
Perfect.
Wonderful.